we're going to kick it off with Tim's question about early retirement. He says, I'm 42 and want to retire early at 45. I've stress tested my plan and everything looks okay. But I'm having a hard time mentally stepping away from the job. I know I want to spend more time with my kids before they leave the house. They're my why. So why is it so hard for me to make the switch?
So, okay, a lot of things going on there. 42, looks like he wants to retire early at 45. First I want to commend him. He said he's done some stress testing. So he's at least tested his plan to make sure. Now, one of the things I'd really want to know is I would imagine that even at 45 years old, I don't know how old his kids are, but there's still a lot of variables that have not been solved for yet. There's still probably a lot of outstanding questions. Hopefully, the rigor of the plan that he put himself through, that he stress tested, was good, right? So let's operate under the assumption that that's the case. He's still having some trouble stepping away. I think one of the reasons that happens is because at 45, hopefully, still a lot of life to live. There's still a lot to go on. And what I worry is that people often see retirement or financial independence as this utopian part of life where everything is amazing and everything is great. I love hearing that Tim wants to spend more time with his kids, but one of the things I'd worry is retiring and stepping away from the workforce and leaving at maybe what are like your peak earning years or maybe the height of your career. Is that the only way to accomplish the goal? Or might there be other ways to be able to have the goal of spending more time with family and pouring into the kids and that sort of thing without completely severing from the workforce if he's not just quite yet ready for it?
Well, you just completely changed the question because you went from financial independence, retire early, to financial independence, next endeavor.
Well,
and that's kind of what you're alluding to.
If he has a next endeavor, I don't know that, but he didn't say he had a next endeavor, right? He just said he wants to hang out with the kids.
I want to just put it on the record that first I want to give Tim a huge compliment. I feel like so much of what happens in the world of finance, people focus only on the math, and he's stress tests, that's the math part of it. But he's already putting some time into the mindset stuff. If you understand your kids are the why, that's obviously a huge component of this. But now we have to just kind of know, what are you going to? Because look, I've already told you the cruel part of life is that as you get more sentimental towards your children, they're going to get more and more independent. It's a natural thing as they're building their own independence. So you don't want to create this huge life threshold change and then you drive your family crazy because you're around. So I would go into the plan. What are you going to? What are your hobbies? What are you going to spend your hours doing? Because yes, you're going to be making more memories with the family, but that's not going to fill all of your days. I'd also, Bo, you hit on this. There's big life components you still have to figure out because 45 is young. You have to figure out, hey, there's life elements like the kids still need to go to college. There's going to be education and other goals that you're going to need to plan accordingly for. There's also going to be health insurance because 45 to 65, 20 years that we got to cover. We've got to bridge that. So there's some things that you need to kind of measure twice on, cut once. But I commend you for working on mindset plus the math. It's just making sure there's not elements or components that you've left behind. Yeah,
the very crux of the end of his question was, why is it so hard to make the switch? And my guess, and again, this is just hypothesis here, is that he hasn't actually solved for what am I retiring to? Because we've worked with hundreds of retirees at this point in time. And what's interesting is you see the ones that have a lot of success versus the ones that maybe don't have as much success in retirement. And it's almost always centered around those who've planned well for how they're going to spend their time, what they're going to do after. 45 years old, you still got a lot of time. There's a lot of time left.
And I don't mind one more key thing, because I was having a great conversation with a gentleman who sold 3 companies, super successful. And we got to talking about what happens when money is not your driver. What's the big thing that a lot of people are seeking? And he used a word that I was like, I'm going to file that away. And I've told him, I was like, that really hit me hard, relevance. So I think somebody who's super successful enough that you can retire at 45, you probably do get some elements from your career that you're not necessarily putting value on, but they're there. You know, like when you go to social events and other things. So make sure, and I think that word relevance, because you do want to wake up in the morning and feel like in some small way you're making the world a better place. And that's relevance in my eyes, is that you feel like you have purpose. You know what you're doing with every day. The kids are super important. Family's important, those blossoming memories. But make sure you're taking into account, where does relevance on how you feel in the next chapter of your life fit into this story?
A great thing that you can do is go to moneyguy.com/resources. We actually have the Money Guy's Guide to Retirement. If you've not worked through that, at least as you're thinking about these next 3 years before you enter into this transition, you should go check that out. Answer some of those questions, and hopefully it will help inform, are you making the right decision, and how can you make that decision in the best way possible?